as you build out tech into your office, you have to have a way to decide what you're going to track inside the tech, because I've done this before. I went out and bought Salesforce for tens of thousands of dollars every single month, plus paid for the developers. And we had this really cool tech to track everything in my business, and it didn't help me at all. We still use Google Sheets because we didn't know what we were going to track.
It's so fun to talk about AI, and AI is so cool. What does it actually mean, and how do we get results out of our technology?
Well, I think the exciting thing is that at this event, Gary, we're going to be doing a mastermind with the doctors and with the team. And then there's going to be follow-up masterminds for them to keep them in sync of what's happening. And I think the biggest thing is...
Welcome back to another episode of Dental Marketing Go. I'm your host, Gary Bird. I'm the owner of SMC National, where we help offices just like yours level the playing field against the big guys out there so you can grow the way that you want. But you can't grow if you're sitting on a bunch of technology and you and your team don't know how to use it effectively. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about exactly that. I have the one, the only, the D. Fischer from Fischer Professional Group, and Jill, who's from Optimized Dental Consulting. And today they're going to be talking about an event that they're having that helps offices implement technology. Guess what? You don't have to buy anything. They're just going to help you implement the technology that you already have and help you level up. So I know if you're listening and you have technology in your office that you're not using properly and you don't have the right KPIs and you don't have the right motivation, this is the episode for you. You're going to want to listen all the way to the end because we got something special for you. So stay tuned. All right, we are live for another episode of Dental Marketing Go. And today's episode is a little bit different. You can see there's some people with me today, and I'm excited about this one because you know, at dental events over the years, I've been to tons of them, and they're great. I love them and all that kind of good stuff. And then there's different kinds, right? There's a kind that motivates you. There's the kind that teaches you something. There's there's some that just sell you stuff the whole time, right? So there's all these different events out there, and we all know that, but this is different. And I don't say that a lot, but this one is different because this is the tech-driven success. So if you're a dental office that is struggling to keep your profit up, if you are an office that's struggling to hire new people to grow because you don't have the money for it, if you are an office that's struggling because everything's getting harder out there, tech solves a lot of that. We're even at the government level, they're even talking about, hey, we got to get better at tech to cut our cost. Guess what that should signal to us at our dental offices? We should be doing the same. And this is going to be an event in Atlanta, February 7th. And at the end, I'm going to give away all the details. And I think there's some codes and stuff like that. So I'm excited about that. We'll give that at the end. But first, I want to jump right into this with you, D, because as you build out tech into your office, you have to have a way to track decide what you're going to track inside the tech, because I've done this before. I went out and bought Salesforce for tens of thousands of dollars every single month, plus paid for the developers. And we had this really cool tech to track everything in my business, and it didn't help me at all. We still use Google Sheets because we didn't know what we were going to track. So D, can you tell me a little bit about the KPIs and how you're going to be looking at these differently because you have this tech conference going on? What are you guys going to be talking about?
So, Gary, this is so exciting for me because I think it's the time in industry when we have to look at KPIs a little bit differently. We all know the standard KPIs, production, collection, and things like that. But really, with tech, we could start looking at KPIs on implementation. We could look at KPIs on innovation. We could look at KPIs totally different. One of the things that I think that tech is really going to bring to the table is even looking at our KPIs for sales, because we are in sales, we're in dentistry. What does that all look like? And we generally just look to that revenue number and that collection number. Tech is going to open up a whole new world for us. And I love that, Jill is bringing this technology to the table and how we're going to use it. But I think, again, let's just like a quick look. We have something we're going to implement it. We now with technology could put KPIs around that. Is this program really working? We're going to have true data where before it was kind of, is the glass half empty or half full? What does it look like? So those are different ways that we really want to educate people to look at things. I want to get people out of their box. You know me, Gary. I'm about get out of your box, get uncomfortable. Let's get motivated. And that's where I'm so excited to be working with Jill in this area because now we know how to tie it. And what's the buzzword right now, Gary? AI, technology. That's what we're hearing in the industry. But I really want to start to educate our teams on that tie. What are the new KPIs? Because there are going to be new KPIs with this. And you made a great example. You bought something and you went back to the old way.
Voting is open for Dental Woo's top dental podcast. It starts on November 1st and ends on December 31st. Each vote supports the podcast. Last year, we won multiple top spots, and this year we're hoping to do even better. This year, our goal is to get 1,000 unique voters on this podcast. Help us reach our goal, and your vote will count. Voting is easy. Just click the link below and find Dental Marketing Go, and then submit it. It's super fast. Every dental office has done that before. Like anybody listening to this, they buy the best technology. They're so excited about it, and then it just sits there and it collects dust, or you hang coats on it and stuff like that, right? It's like gym equipment. You don't want that, right? You want to be able to get the technology and use it. And Jill, one of the things that I'm excited that you're going to be talking about is automation, because here's the honest truth. Offices can't hire more people. In the past, pre-COVID, you could hire your way out of it. Just throw some bodies at it, right? Just hire a couple more people. People now are like, I don't have money to hire more people. So how do I solve this? I'm not answering the phone, and I can't hire another body to answer the phone, and I'm not getting new patients in. I can't hire another assistant. I can't hire another admin. So tell me a little bit about how you're going to be working with the offices around automation.
Yeah, I'm going to dig in on automation to actually figure out how do we actually get it done? It's so fun to talk about AI, and AI is so cool. What does it actually mean, and how do we get results out of our technology? So my intention at this in-person workshop is we're going to, just like Dee said, we're going to get very specific around what are the different systems that are available to you in the practice. Likely you already have things available in your office today that you may be using 0, 10%, 50%. Maybe you're super automated with certain things, but we're going to go through all sorts of categories from patient forms and insurance verification, like every single part of the practice where technology can actually impact you. And then people can kind of, as their own sort of interactive quiz, figure out where do I fall along the automation line? Because sometimes you don't know what you don't know. You know how your software works today. You have no idea that maybe there's another third-party player that could plug in and give you some functionality and let you automate even more. And then you can make those decisions. And we're going to tie that back to KPIs. Just like Dee said, we're not just going to do this and say, gosh, I hope that worked. We're going to know exactly what are the KPIs that we would know that this implementation was successful.
Okay, so and I want to be clear on this, Jill. You aren't selling tech platform to people to buy at this conference, right? Am I getting that right? You're teaching them how to use the technology they already have that they're wasting the opportunities on, right?
100%. Optimized Dental, we are product agnostic. What I say all the time, I don't care what software you use it well, use it successfully. And so that's what we're going to do. So I want to be able to help you. Honestly, it matters not to me what software, what practice management, what other additional systems you work with. We are going to talk about what does it look like to use those well.
Google Sheets. So you're just going to do Google Sheets the whole time. I'm just playing. All right. So, okay. So now how are you going to standardize this? So here's what I've seen in dental offices. They get the KPI. They work with DGs like, hey, fix this. They get a lift. I've seen this over and over and over again working with D. They get the lift, and then D motivates the team, but then D goes and works at another office, right? And it's like the offices are like, wait, now let's add another practice and another practice, and then it gets super complicated, and they didn't understand maybe the underlining principles, right? Like, and then they have to go back and like, okay, help me again and fix it again. How do you actually standardize this so you can scale it? And I've seen D do this at huge offices. But I've also seen that dentists get busy working in the chair, right? We're talking to people who are working in the chair. I know D's talked to everybody from 2,000 offices down. How does this actually apply to somebody when they want to standardize it and scale it? So
in this workshop, we're really targeting kind of the emerging groups, right? This 2 to 10 locations. And what happens when you have multiple offices are your setup really matters. So when Dee is going to teach the teams, here's the KPIs that really matter. I want to be able to go back and say, how can you get the data so that your information is actually trustworthy? And that gets all around, how did you set up your adjustments? How did you lock your system? How are you actually using the software effectively so that you get that consistent data every single time? That allows people, when people trust their numbers, now they'll go back and they'll run the report and they'll follow the steps, et cetera. The minute that they run a report on the analytics platform and then they look at their practice management and they don't match, they're like, I'm out. It's broken, doesn't work. And then they give up. Okay, we're going to find the root cause of the setup so that we get consistent data. Again, no matter what software you're using.
That's so cool. Now, Dee, this is actually where you really take the cake on this. Like, it doesn't matter how good the KPI is. It doesn't matter how much you've automated it. It doesn't matter how much you standardize it. Your team has to be motivated to actually do it. And what happens a lot of times, these dentists come to these events, they learn this cool stuff, and then they go home and then nothing happens. And there's multiple reasons why that happens. But how are you going to teach these leaders of these groups to motivate not only themselves, but also their teams, that this actually sticks? What they're going to learn from this event is going to actually stick.
And then there's going to be follow-up masterminds for them to keep them in sync of what's happening. And I think the biggest thing is, like, I just a quick story. I was with someone the other day and I'm like, you have great technology here and you're missing a great KPI and you're missing motivating your team around the KPI. And they're like, what are you talking about? I said, well, let's look at this. What is your total patient count to your active patient count? I'm like, what are you talking about? I said, well, that's right in your practice software. You have 10,000 people, but only 3,000 are coming through the door. So why don't we do this? Why don't we do a program? Let's do a campaign. Let's bonus them out on this campaign and maybe reactivate 1,000 patients. Well, they've already started and they've made 50 appointments in a week. Okay, so it's motivating them. But Jill and I, you just come to an event and you're done. We want to mastermind with these people over the year to keep them motivated. Because when they're talking to other doctors or they're talking to other team members and they're all saying they're in the same boat and they help solve each other's problems and Jill and I can kind of guide them, it becomes a win-win. So you stay motivated by staying engaged. And a lot of times, leave a conference, like you said, Monday morning, something doesn't happen. Right? And there's no follow-up to the conference. And that's why we're keeping this small. And I will say that for us, I want to work around 30 to 50 people. I don't want it large. I want to mastermind, with Jill going forward with these people. So what they walk away with, they keep for a year. And that's really, I think, a key point about motivation. Motivation means engagement, and engagement means teaching.
That's awesome, Dee. And I've done multiple events with Dee, and I know Jill's awesome as well. So this is going to be a really good event. Now, Jill, if someone's listening to this and goes, man, I need this in my life, where can they access this? How do I get more information? How do I make sure that I attend this event?
Yeah, we put something on my website. If you go to optimizedent.com/workshop, you'll see exactly all the information. You can see all the times, the date, the hours, the location. It is just going to be one day. So it's going to be a Friday, February 7th. So it's not going to be something you need to take a million hours out of the practice, et cetera. But so it's going to be in Atlanta, one day.
Atlanta, it's easy to get in there. So I love that about Atlanta. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on, guys. And I'm looking forward to this event.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks for having us.